And today I want to just go very quickly. I know I don't have very much time, so I want to go through the 4 phases of polio, and I want to talk a little bit about the Polio Plus Society. Um, the first thing I came across, which happened just this week, is that across a news feed that I get on my online, is a Republican in the United States has been trying to get a bill passed in Tennessee to have grocers in the United States, in the at least the state of Tennessee, putting up posters as to whether vegetables are pharmaceuticals or whether they're just a vegetable. And although there's research right now going on to see if biologists can engineer plants to deliver mRNA vaccines, which are the ones that we get for COVID, that's research and not reality. So the problem with polio vaccines is that they have to be kept in a cold chain. They have to be very, very cold. They have to be kept between +2 and +8 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, they break down very quickly. And so you don't have to worry too much about having vaccines injected into your tomatoes. His main concern was that he didn't know how many tomatoes he would have to eat in order to get the proper dosage of the vaccine. And so he's worried that if he ate too many tomatoes, he would get side effects from the vaccine. And if he ate too little tomatoes, he would desensitize the virus, similar to what happens when you overuse antibiotics against bacteria. Well, we're dealing with two different organisms here. One's a bacteria, one's a virus. They don't work the same way. So I just want to just set up there. Don't believe everything that you read that's coming across or things. These are obviously people that don't understand science at all. So a couple of things I want to just have you have a basic understanding of the polio virus. It's a virus that's the similar type of virus to the COVID-19 virus, except that it's similar in the fact that it's a single-stranded RNA virus, but it's an enterovirus versus a respiratory virus. And enteroviruses actually attack the gastrointestinal system. They don't affect the lungs. And there are 3 basic types, 1, 2, and 3. But at present time, the wild polio viruses, the polio virus type 2 has been eradicated in 2015, and the polio virus type 3 in 2019. The polio virus is spread primarily by the oral fecal route, meaning that you have to contaminate your hands or parts of the body with fecal material, and then it's put into the mouth, and you get the major and the first part of the infection typically is in the throat, and then spreads to the intestines. And then the virus is passed out in the feces. But it can also be spread by respiratory droplets. So if you're coughing or sneezing on food and you have polio, for example, in your throat, you can contaminate the food with that. And polio virus is a very long-lasting one. Unlike the respiratory viruses, the polio virus can last for up to 2 months on surfaces. When we look at the statistics with polio, as you'll see later on, only people with paralysis have poliomyelitis. So when you're looking at the number of cases of polio virus, those are all people with paralysis. And the only reason as in Rotary that we can even consider to eliminate a disease from the planet is that humans are the only reservoir for this virus. Even our closest relatives, chimpanzees and the great apes, do not get polio naturally. We can give it to them in a laboratory setting, but they don't get it in the wild. Now, I talked at the initial slide is there are 4 phases to polio, and the first phase here is the endemic phase. And polio has been with us since prehistory. And as you can see from this picture of an Egyptian stele, which dates back to 1403 BC, the leg on this priest is withered away compared to his left leg. His right leg is withered, and his foot is pronated like this, which is very characteristic of polio. Prior to the 20th century, polio outbreaks were extremely rare. To give you an example, Gothenburg, Sweden, had an outbreak in 1806 in which there were 4 cases with no deaths. There was 4 cases 10 cases in Louisiana in 1841 where there were no deaths, and in 1868 in Modems, Norway, there were 14 cases with 4 deaths. So that's kind of the since we've sort of recorded things, that's the kind of outbreaks that you would have there. And the reason for this is that prior to the 20th century, virtually all children were exposed to polio virus at a very young age, typically less than 1 year old. And all of these children would have been breastfed, which meant that they got antibodies from the mother's breast milk, and that gives them what is called passive immunity. So if the child became exposed to the polio virus at less than a year, the mother's antibodies would fight off the disease, and at the same time, the child's immune system would form what are called memory cells. And that means if it ever got exposed back again to the polio virus, the body's own immune system would now fight off this polio virus. So the children would never really come down with any symptoms. Although they get infected with the polio virus, they would never come down with any symptoms of polio. So now the thing happens is, well, what happened between the 1800s and the 1900s that caused this to happen? And it's a quite simple thing, actually, was that we got flush toilets. We took better care of sanitation, basically, and we ended up with better clean water. So now children were not getting exposed to the virus at a very young age. They were getting exposed a little bit later on. In fact, like in the early 20th century, kids were around 5 years old before they got infected with the polio virus, and then they have no maternal antibodies to fight that off, and now that's when the symptoms can start to come on. And that brought us to the 20th century, which is termed as the epidemic phase. And as you can read on there, between 1900 and 1955, there were outbreaks continually of polio virus, mainly in the spring and summer times. And between 1910 and 1955, over 500,000 cases of polio were recorded, with about 57,406 deaths occurred as well from that. And it wasn't until 1955 that the Salk vaccine was licensed. The Salk vaccine is the inactivated polio virus. It's dead virus that's used in the Salk vaccine to immunize children. And it wasn't until 1961 that the oral vaccine, the Sabine vaccine, which is the oral dosage one, that was licensed as well. And that one uses a weakened virus or an attenuated virus. And it wasn't until 1994 that the USA, even though we had the vaccine since 1955, and there were massive immunization campaigns, it wasn't until 1994 that the USA was actually declared polio-free, and same with Canada. The thing that was kind of unusual when I was looking into the research behind this is that although the US was declared polio-free in 1994, between 1995 and the year 2000, there were still 18 cases of polio that were reported in the United States. So that brings us on now to, we're sort of in a post-vaccination phase since 1955. And right now in developing countries, we're only using the oral polio vaccine. And that's used primarily due to the reason that it's used primarily there is that it's very easy to use. You don't need any special training to do it. You need a plastic bottle, you need a cold chain, you need to keep the vaccine cold. But as you can see from a picture like this, you don't need sterile gloves, you don't need hypodermic needles, you don't need anything else to administer the polio vaccine. But the problem with the oral polio vaccine simply is that as it passes through your gut and is excreted out into the feces, and if you're in an area where they have under-vaccinated the children, that is, they're not fully vaccinated, and you've got poor sanitation in the area, the vaccine can convert back to a type of virus that will cause paralysis. So we start getting what are called circulating vaccine-derived polio virus circulating in the communities. And that's, again, creating the same symptoms as the normal polio virus. Right now, we still have principally two strains that are circulating primarily in Africa. There's a circulating virus type 1 and a circulating virus type 2, although this type 2 virus has already been, the wild polio virus type 2 has been eliminated. In all developed countries like Canada, United States, all of the South America, Europe, Mexico, all those places use only the inactivated polio virus now, which confers immunity to the person, but has to be given by injection. It's not given by orally. And now we're entering into the eradication phase, which is where we are today, basically, with it. We have only 2 endemic countries, both Pakistan and Afghanistan. But last year, we had only 12 cases, 6 in each country. And the case reports are all along the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. But you can see that from the thing here, we have 12 cases of wild polio virus, but we had 877 cases of circulating vaccine-derived polio in about 26 countries in Africa. So we still have a lot to mop up as far as the circulating vaccine-derived polio goes. But we do have a new vaccine for that now, which is the novel oral polio vaccine type 2. And that is very effective. It's more stable than the normal polio vaccine. And so it doesn't convert that frequently into circulating virus. Although there is cases of it, it's much reduced over what the normal one does. It's more genetically stable, this one. This year so far, I mean, we're not very far into the year, only 2 months into the year, we've had no cases reported this year. But again, as I said earlier, this virus comes out mostly in the spring and summer. So we have to wait until we get through spring and summer to find out whether this actually is going to be our last year that we have reported cases. And if we have no cases by 2026, at 24, 25, and 26, we have no reported cases of both of the circulating vaccine-derived polio as well as the wild cases of polio, then the WHO will be in a position to say that polio has been eradicated. Now, when we look at the GPEI, which is the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which is made up of 6 partners, which Rotary is one of those partners, there is a board that overlooks the strategy of the GPEI. And it's a board made up of 5 very, very prominent public health specialists. And when they looked at the strategy, and they do all kinds of interviews and speaking to the people on the ground and looking at the strategy of the GPEI, we came up with a whole list of challenges that we have to the eradication of polio. But the 2 biggest ones were funding, and the second one is security for the personnel that are giving vaccines to these children. Over the years, in the 39 years that we've been involved in this, there's been about 45 deaths of people that have been killed while they've been giving polio vaccines to various communities. So there are risks involved in doing these. Most of the areas that we are trying to mop up right now are conflict zones. So there is some problem with this. So from the funding perspective, Rotary has asked basically a couple of things from Rotarians in general. So the first thing they looked at is at the district level. And at the district level, they asked the districts, all the districts in Rotary to donate 20% of their DDF towards Polio Plus. And I'm happy to say that our district does that. We've donated almost $20,000, 19,000 plus change to Polio Plus campaign. Rotary is also asking clubs, every club, to donate $1,500 to the Polio Plus campaign. And I know your club did extremely well for a very new club last year with your thing at district conference, with the fundraising that you did at that. So I'm very happy to say you met that challenge very easily. So we're looking for that funding, but Rotary is also asking individual Rotarians to make a donation of $100 a year until polio is eradicated. And to that end, our district has started something that has been present in many districts in Rotary, as a Polio Plus Society. And in order to join the society, you have to make this commitment that you pledge to help Rotary make history by continuing to donate $100 in Canadian funds each year until the World Health Organization certifies that polio has been eradicated. Joining is very simple. To join, you simply make a recurring donation through Rotary Direct, which can be made very easily through your My Rotary page. If you don't have a My Rotary page, I would really stress to get one of these. There's a lot of information on that page that you can get from Rotary. You can get into the Learning Center. You can find out what your club goals are and whether you're meeting those goals. All those things have to be entered into the Rotary Club Central. So that's an easy access for that. But if you want to get a Rotary page, you simply type in My Rotary on your browser. The first one that will come up will be the Rotary International My Rotary. Click on that, the Rotary page will come up and it says sign in or register. So if you already have a page, you simply sign in. If you don't, register for one. And when your page comes up, it'll say In my case, it says, "Hello, David." And at the top of that page is a little blue button that's there that says donate. And if you go hit that button and then follow through with that, look, making a donation to Polio Plus, recurring donation in Canadian funds, whether you're doing it monthly, annually, or monthly, quarterly, or annually, and the amount of your donation, fill out your credit card information, then Rotary takes care of everything else. And in my sort of main presentation, I always talk about pickpocketing for polio, because it's a very light touch. So you're getting, if like in my case, I've done it at $10 a month. You don't even know that money is going away until you get a little note from Rotary saying thank you for your $10 donation a month. So it's a nice little easy way to get kind of pickpocketed to give something to Rotary and become an action Rotarian in eradicating polio. Once you've done your donation, of very great importance is for you to fill out a membership form, because I can't register you until I have the membership form. You can get that either through myself, you simply email me. My email is on the district website. Or you can go into the district website, but it's a little difficult to find. If you go on the district website, on the very left-hand side of the page is member resources. And if you click on that, you'll see Rotary Foundation. It's a drop-down menu, so you'll see Rotary Foundation. You click on Rotary Foundation, and that'll take you to the foundation page, and it'll have on there Polio Plus. And then below Polio Plus is District 7010 Polio Plus Society. You click on that, and that will give you the page that gives you the information on both how to make a donation as well as how to get a membership form. You're typically inducted, for most clubs, you're inducted at a regular club meeting, receiving a pin and a certificate that you can see below. In your case, as an impact club, I will mail these directly to you, and then I would have, say, President Brian would then induct you just formally on the during a meeting of your online. But you'll get, instead of the president getting it and giving it to the member, I'll send it directly to you as a member. Currently, our District 7010 Polio Plus Society has 112 members. We're in 21 clubs right now out of 51, which includes Rotaract, and we account for about 8.9% of our membership in district. The donations right now are getting close to $20,000 Canadian, which is 14,000 change in US dollars. The Gates Foundation will match that donation 2-to-1, which is about almost $30,000 there. And our total polio donations then to Polio Plus right as of this minute are $44,075. So I think as a district, we're doing very well. I might just add to you that our district has been given some accolades from our zone, because we are the fastest growing and most donations in our zone for Rotary. So I'm very proud of that, and that's all due to our district members. So I thank you all very much for your support for this. So in conclusion, I just say thank you. I would like you to become a member, join today if you can, and choose health over polio. As you can see here, some people that have received their certificates already. There's past District Governor Richard on there. Brian, this gentleman here is your District Governor-elect nominee. That's Drew Markham. This is the Rotary Club of Fenelon Falls in my upper left. The Rotary Club of Fenelon Falls has the most per capita members in almost, like, they're about 80 or 90% members. My Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Barrie, has the most number of members at 32. And then below there is probably people you'll recognize from the Rotary Club of Bracebridge. So please give us a look-see, look at the information, think about it, and say it's a very easy ask. $10 a month is the minimum amount you can give. You can give it as $25 a year or $100 a year, however you would like to do that. And that's it. Thank you very much.